wonderful good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Zhao Sang Hao. I welcome you all here in the Technical Forum at the Hydrogen Fuel Cells Europe. We are also live streaming, so I'm saying ni hao, 欢迎光临 to all our online guests. If you missed one of the presentations here in the Technical Forum, yes, you can download them at the Hanover Fair website. It's in the brochure. You can scan the QR code and you will find all the talks there up tomorrow. Every 15 minutes, we're going to have speakers here representing the latest development into hydrogen fuel cell business and technology. My next speaker came all the way from China, and he's going to talk about the localization in China of core components for the hydrogen economy. I think it's going to be pretty interesting, so please welcome with me on stage the CTO of Guangdong Taiji Power, Mr. Dustin Burnham. Warm welcome.
Thank you. Okay, here. So first of all, thanks for the introduction. It's my pleasure to be here today to have an opportunity to speak to you about some of the products that we've developed at our company over the past 5 years, which at this point really span most of the hydrogen value chain. And you'll see what I mean by that in the coming slides. I'll give a brief overview of Guangdong Taiji Power, and then I'm going to spend some time talking about some of the products that we have to offer. And I'll end the presentation with a kind of an exciting announcement for us about a collaboration that we've set up in South Africa. Our company was founded in 2018, and we've grown very rapidly since then. We now have around 160 employees with about 70 core R&D researchers. Initially, when our company was founded, we put a big focus around developing some of the core components that later go into the fuel cell MEA and the electrolyzer CCM. And the objective behind that was that we really wanted to control our supply chain to keep our costs down and to give cost security. And you'll see in the coming slides that we've achieved this, and we now offer all the way up to complete systems, but because we utilize our own materials, we can really keep our costs low. We're located in Foshan, which is a relatively small city in China of around 8 million people. But if you're not familiar with Chinese geography, it's close to Hong Kong, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, in that area. There are three main entities at Taiji. There's the main manufacturing facility and our headquarters, and that's where we produce fuel cell catalyst, electrolyzer catalyst, fuel cell MEAs, electrolyzer CCM, and we can now also offer complete fuel cell systems as well as an AEM system that I'll be talking about near the end of this presentation. About 30 minutes from the headquarters is a research facility called Spruce Hydrogen Energy, and this is where we do all of the materials development, so catalyst design and catalyst layer, MEA design. And as we have promising technology, that gets transferred to Taiji for high volume manufacturing. We also have a third entity called Taiji Carbon that's really focused around carbon development, specifically for GDLs. We've generated a lot of core IP for our company, and this IP spans core components all the way up to some of our systems. We've also received within China numerous awards, both provincially and nationally, but for an international exhibition such as this, the most important thing to probably highlight is our quality certification. So we have, for example, IATF certification that allows us to supply into the automotive industry, and we've now been doing this for several years. We also have other ISO certification that allows us to, for example, supply into the marine industry, which is also something we've been actively doing. So I mentioned that we now have products that span most of the hydrogen value chain, and I'm just going to highlight where that is. So in terms of hydrogen production, we can offer catalysts, so the OER catalyst and the platinum carbon catalyst. We can also offer PEM electrolyzer CCM, and that's been a really growing product for us. There's been a lot of demand for that CCM. We also, if you come to our booth, you can see we have a complete AEM system that we can offer, a turnkey solution. So those are all the products really within the hydrogen production space. We also offer hydrogen storage solutions, and for Taiji, we're focused on metal hydride storage. That's something that we use in our own backup power systems, and I'll be speaking about those a little bit later in these slides. But we can also offer that as a discrete product, just the metal hydride storage unit. One of our core products has been and continues to be the fuel cell MEA. So supplying fuel cell CCM and 5 and 7 layer MEAs. Recently, we've been exporting a lot of these internationally. Initially, our market was primarily China, but it's now been growing with a lot of additional overseas customers. And then finally, we do offer complete fuel cell systems. And again, I'll touch on some of these near the end of this presentation. So I don't have time to go through all of the different products that we offer, but I'm going to highlight a few, starting from the materials level all the way up to some of the systems. At the materials level for taiji, our initial focus was on developing carbon or highly durable catalysts for the anode of the fuel cell. And that's because within China, at the time when we set up our company, there really wasn't anything available. So if you're familiar with fuel cell technology, you'll know that at the anode, there's two catalysts that are used. There's a very durable platinum carbon catalyst, and then typically some water oxidation catalyst to handle reversal events. So we've developed our own materials for that, and we use them in our own product. We also sell them as a product. In the recent years, since we started also producing PEM electrolyzer CCM, we can utilize those exact same catalysts for the PEM electrolyzer. So the iridium and iridium-ruthenium alloys, we use that on the anode of our own electrolyzer, and then our own platinum carbon on the cathode. We can produce about 1 kilogram batch sizes of those catalysts, and we also have a comprehensive suite of testing capability so that we can also offer a very comprehensive C of A with all the standard quality requirements you would expect on a C of A. In terms of the fuel cell technology, a big focus, as I mentioned for us, is around localization of components within China to help keep our costs low. So we utilize our own anode materials, and we also have partners in China for the cathode catalysts, including Jiping, which has a booth at this fair. In terms of the membrane, we can use multiple membrane suppliers, but we predominantly use Dongyue membrane, which is the largest membrane supplier in China. They're also an investor in our company, so we have a very close relationship with them. And through this relationship and by controlling our own catalysts, we have an excellent overall control on our supply chain to keep costs low and also give us cost certainty. And we're able to do this while still achieving world-class performance and durability. For the PEM electrolyzer technology, one unique advantage we have is the ability to coat large sheet sizes. So as the PEM electrolyzer technology progresses, there's a bigger and bigger demand for these large industrial size coatings. And we're able to produce up to 1.4 square meters. And for these electrolyzer CCM, again, we mostly utilize our own catalyst and the Dongyue membrane. But we do have some customers that insist on a different membrane supplier, and we're flexible and free to do that. But as soon as you switch away from Dongyue, the price will start to come up. For manufacturing capability of fuel cell MEAs, we have 2 discrete lines. And together, we can produce around 4 million MEAs per year. So this would be the 7-layer fuel cell MEA. We also have our own coating technology that we developed to make the large sheet sizes for the PEM electrolyzer, and that's, as I said, up to 1.4 square meters. We can also use our roll-to-roll slot die coater to make electrolyzer CCM, but it's difficult to get that up to the very large sizes. A very exciting announcement for our company at the end of 2023 was this AEM system that we've released. And if you come to our booth at D4 at the entrance to this building, you can see we brought one of the demonstration units. These units now, the one that we brought with us is 460 kilowatts, but we can produce up to 1 megawatt AEM systems, and we can offer a complete turnkey solution. The technology that we've developed for our AEM, we have a team that's continually working to improve the performance, but I believe we're already at globally competitive levels for performance. And like most AEM companies, we're still early in obtaining the durability data, but we've run this out several thousand hours now. One of the advantages of the AEM electrolyzer stack, though, is that if it does degrade, replacing the individual MEAs in there is relatively inexpensive to do. In terms of our manufacturing capability of these AEM systems, we can go from several kilowatts all the way up to 1 megawatt. And since making our announcement, we've now sold about 6 megawatts worth of these units in China. And if we get to multi-megawatt units, what we do is just attach together our single megawatt units. So that's for making hydrogen, and then for storing it, as I mentioned, we use a metal hydride storage solution. And for that, we can range in size from about 3 kilograms all the way up to 100 kilograms. Taking all of that, then, we have 2 main products that we've released this year for fuel cell systems, one being the backup power and one being distributed power. And briefly, the difference between them is that the backup power unit is a fully integrated unit with an AEM electrolyzer, a metal hydride storage system, and then a PEM fuel cell system. These are targeted for relatively low-powered applications, so say 1 to 20 kilowatts, normally used for a residential unit or a cell phone tower, where you have fairly reliable grid power, but from time to time you might have a power outage, so you need this backup power unit. Alternatively, if you have an unreliable grid and you want to completely disconnect from the grid and have your own continuous power, we also have megawatt units. And this is a new product that we've released in China. We've sold just several of these starting this year. Okay, so those are some of the products, and then I just wanted to end by touching on a really exciting collaboration that we started this year. In 2023, we started engaging conversations with Bambili Energy, which is the parent company of HyPlat, the leading fuel cell company in South Africa. And as we had further and further discussions, we started finding a lot of synergies between the companies and overlapping skill sets and also complementary skill sets between these two groups. And so it's progressed to the point now where we're in a formal collaboration with Bambili. And briefly, what we're bringing to the table, so I spoke already earlier in this presentation about some of our capabilities. At Taiji, we have the high volume manufacturing ability and a very secure supply chain of low-cost Chinese components. So we're bringing that, and then at Bambili, they have already very strong fuel cell technology. They have a really strong business team in place. And also, if you're familiar with South Africa, it's just an incredible opportunity for renewable energy. They have control over the vast majority of the platinum and iridium in the world. They have an abundance of solar, an abundance of wind, and also, unfortunately, an unreliable power grid. But when you combine that all together, it's just an amazing launch pad for fuel cell and electrolyzer technology. And so what we're doing together now is setting up high volume manufacturing with Bambili in South Africa so that Bambili can start exporting at high volumes their MEAs. And the other advantage there is that South Africa has more favorable trade agreements in many cases with other countries than China does. So it's just a really good partnership. And again, if you have any questions about this partnership, we welcome you to come to our booth. And with that, thank you, and maybe there's time for a question. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, there is time for a very quick question. I do have a question too, but if there is one from the audience, of course, I'm going to take you first. I do have a question.
Sure.
So I might be biased, but I think that technology development in China has an impressive pace, and I think it's the right decision to collaborate. For those, and I ask you this as an honest question, but I think there's something people have in mind, is for those who are reluctant to collaborate or invest in a business located in China, and I saw you have many certificates, you can provide the whole fuel cell system, which is highly impressive, so you don't have to source something here, source something there, you have the full stack, and then also the full systems. What would you say to a person that is currently still reluctant because maybe of some political development?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for the question. I understand. So my very short answer to that is, I think it's very difficult to ignore what's going on in China, and you kind of do it at your own peril. When you look at what's happened with solar cells, lithium-ion batteries. The same thing is happening now with fuel cell technology. And honestly speaking, coming from China, China is very open to collaboration. And for foreign companies, just seeing what's coming out of China, I do recommend collaborating, because if you don't, as I say, it's kind of at your own peril, because the technology is going to be exported.
I do have the same opinion. Use the chances now, and this is my personal opinion. And yes, I might be biased, but I think this is also the observation that I make. Have been here for 10 years already, so I see they have a huge growth in the market, and I just want to say, go talk to Dustin. He's very knowledgeable. We had a little pre-chat, and we are almost running out of time. We are out of time, so thank you very much. Round of applause.
Okay, thanks.